again, we are live from the LinkedIn Habit Advertising Week, and I'm sitting with Jason Jercinovic. See, I messed it up anyways. Jercinovic, president of Havas Worldwide New York. So, Jason, I mean, just in chatting with you, you're a self-proclaimed disruptor, and I like that because we've been doing so many interviews, and there are so many kind of consistent themes that have come up, and it's always nice to talk to someone who is
contrarian.
Yes, it's fun. So the first thing we want to talk about is agility, because I like to think that I know the meaning of the word in the sense that I can do yoga, be agile like that. But in the advertising world, it has a very, very different meaning, and in your world, it has a very specific big meaning.
So what is agile, right? That's the question. Well, agile could be different things to different people, right? In context of what we do as marketers and advertisers, it's really enabling a flexible framework that enables you to deliver client value in a really iterative and flexible way. So it's a different process. It differs from the traditional old school method where you get the brief and you get a bunch of people to go away and you work together in isolation and you have some expertise where you know them and you come back with the answer. And then the client buys the answer, and then you create a bunch of spots for it, and you roll that out. And maybe that doesn't work always. Maybe that doesn't. Maybe that's not the only way to do it. And this is becoming, not just with us, but with many companies, a method to enable iterative development, enable to have customer intent or data actually drive what you're doing, and it enables you to change stuff midstream. Because people like to change. People like say, I told you I love blue. But actually meant green. It's green. Can you make it green? And you're like, okay.
It was blue yesterday, and now
it's green, right? Green. And we know our stakeholders, our clients, they like to change their minds. And so, by enabling your organization to function in a way that is built for that, and then build a hopefully a profitable business model on that, then the outcomes of what you do, are more aligned with your clients, more aligned with your customers, and happy. Mm-hmm. Right? So it's you're all in together. And so we've had some really good examples of that. And I could talk about that, but it's really instead of being contrarian and disruptive, it's about a way of enabling a different way. And there's many ways to be successful in today's world.
I think it sounds to me like it's about keeping people on their toes, because I think being consumer-centered, thinking about the customer, and the fact that everything is moving so quickly, and these people are changing their minds and opinions and going through their journey a lot faster and a lot kind of more all over the place. I think that it's about being focused on that, right?
Oh yeah, you want to prioritize your customer. You want to prioritize their need, and we're fickle consumers. If we take our marketing hat off, we like to try different brands. We like to drive different cars. We need to switch toothpastes, right? So are customers loyal? Maybe they are. Maybe we could get people over that are looking for a different experience. And so that's agility enables you to. It's a mechanism to achieve that. And more people are being open to that and like wanting to experiment with it. And if you fuse that with design thinking, which comes to life through how the brand is experienced, how you engage with the design system, then it can really affect the company, your client, in a very good way.
Yeah. So let's talk about that a little bit, because people have sat in your seat. Many people have sat in your seat here over the past few days.
Hot seat that it is, yeah.
Yes. You get people who talk about it's all about the emotional. The way to get them now, the way to get your customers now is the emotional appeal, making that kind of connection with them, to associate your brand with a certain emotion, and so on and so forth. I mean, we actually had a conversation that said little kids and puppy dogs. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's a couple key things that we know work, right?
Little kids and puppy dogs.
Yeah, exactly.
But you're also talking about something that's slightly different, but very, very important in today's world with the digitalization of everything and mobile and everything, which is the design element of it.
Exactly. Well, I believe everything is digital now, and so this notion of people say, well, what's your digital strategy? And I think it's not having a digital strategy, it's having a strategy that is based on knowing that we live in a mobile and digital world. And so that means that, yes, there's puppy dogs and kids, but there may also be icicles and frozen lakes. That you have to be able to be able to speak to different people in different ways. The same message doesn't resonate for everybody. It's not always about the message. It's not necessarily about maybe a commercial. It could be about the experience getting there, and that's how web and mobile comes into the process of making decisions on what you want. Is you end up with a brand engagement experience when you're completing the search and you're going through and you're trying to figure out what I want to do. That is the brand now.
Yeah.
So you say what's Google's brand? Google's brand is the utility of providing you what you're looking for, right?
Yeah.
And that's what the brand is. So brand equals utility. And then that utility is driven by what the look and feel is, and the user experience, what you click on, and that's what agility enables you to do really well.
Very cool. Very succinct. To the point. I got this. Well, another thing we were vaguely talking about, which is separate versus together.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Now, the obviously we think obviously we all need to work together. Isn't that the concept of us teamwork from ages ago? So why is it still a challenge then?
Well, the business has gone through a series of pendulum shifts. Many years ago in the Mad Men days, your media was aligned with your creative agency, and that pivoted. And often clients now have their media with one agency, maybe they're creative or their design, even their digital. Sometimes they're mobile with separate agencies. And that's fine, we could do that. But increasingly, when you look at data driving the intersection of media and creative, it helps when you can talk about the whole stack. So you can say, where are your people? How do you listen to them? What do they say? What do they want to hear? What don't they want to hear? And where are they? Means that the closer you are to the end experience, i.e. buying and placement of media, you have an advantage. And so some clients are seeing that. Havas they've gone all in on that. We have what we call the Havas Village, and that's where we integrate our business units in one physical building. In New York, we have the media unit, we have our creative unit, we actually also have production, and we have our pharma unit, all in the same physical place. Other agencies, other holding companies don't have that same model. And we've done that in 20-something cities now around the world. And we're seeing the dividends of that investment because people are able to say, oh, what do those guys think? And they're just right down the hall.
Right.
Let's bring them in. And then
let's actually physically walk over and speak to them like people.
Exactly.
Imagine that.
Exactly. And so like you said, Lori was on the panel.
Right.
We work with Lori all the time. Sometimes it really opens up the discussion because you're able to not just talk about, say, brand or the creative execution, or as we were saying, the color. You can talk about how that comes to life in the channel, and how media can be informed by creative, and vice versa. And so that's the whole stack. That's being some benefits of being together. And so we're thinking that's going to shift that way more. Some people like to think programmatic isn't perhaps an input into that, because there's a lot of variables that can come out of programmatic, and so some creative agencies are being birthed inside media agencies, and so that's kind of odd, right? And you have a creative specialist right here, let's pull them together. And so we're doing that. It's important to state that not all clients want that. And this is back to being flexible. So we could still work with just one part of our business. It doesn't have to be everything. But the more that you realize the full stack, the more that you're able to realize economies of scale financially and do better work. And that makes happy clients and happy customers, right?
Speaking of happy clients and brands, we're talking about companies reinventing themselves. This is a very different age. It's a different world than it was 20 years ago. I'm sure people 20 years ago said that about 20 years before that, but it's true. And there are brands that have been around forever, and there are brands that are brand new. But what do you think in terms of brands having a need to really reinvent themselves to keep up with the times?
Well, brands that are mature and have been around for a long time have to reinvent themselves. It's the classic innovator's dilemma, where we've seen tremendous companies fall by the wayside because they didn't reinvent themselves. Kodak and Polaroid, many of these companies that we know from our previous lives are no longer around. And so you can, invent, and Kodak invented the digital camera, right? But they didn't figure out how to monetize it and how to use it. So increasingly, with sophisticated enterprise clients, you have to reinvent yourself and do that while you're still flying the plane, right? While you're still going. And so how do you do that? Digital is the mechanism in which that comes to life. For many of these companies, and we do a little bit of work with IBM, and we help them realize the value of digital to enable them to sell their products and services to their clients. It's a different approach. It's no longer the seller cycle of the past. You can go interact with the product, try the product, and buy the product without ever talking to anybody.
Right.
So the purchase funnel itself has changed, and so using digital effectively and bringing digital products and services to life enables companies such as IBM and others to reinvent themselves in a very fast and expedient way, and we're partnering in helping them do that.
That's very cool. I hope you continue to be agile in your ability to help them reinvent yourselves. And thank you so much, Jason. Enjoy the remainder of Advertising Week, which isn't much.
Thanks for your time today.
Thank you.